update on key markets such as Bitcoin and the euro dollar. And it's something for anybody that is interested in trading, people that are trading, people that want to learn. And it's a great opportunity just to get a second opinion on the market and see which levels other people are watching. And in my case, my name is Alejandro Zambrano, and I'm the Chief Market Analyst here at TradeCaptain.com. I've been trading since 2006. And before joining Trade Captain, I used to work for the big broker FXCM and the website Daily FX, and then I did my own thing called Londinium FX. But since pretty much a year now, I've been with TradeCaptain.com, and we developed this website since August last year. And it's a new website, so if you like it, don't forget to support and help out. Hope you enjoy the news and all the technical analysis. Now let's start looking at the charts, and before we start, of course, I need to stress that trading financial markets unfortunately is risky. We can lose money, but we can also make money, so you need to bear that in mind. Okay, so today is non-farm payrolls, and that's going to influence the charts. Not necessarily Bitcoin, but most definitely euro dollar, gold, crude oil to some extent, and the DAX 30 as well to some extent, but definitely the euro dollar and gold should be influenced by the way the non-farm payrolls numbers print. Now, the non-farm payrolls is just a labor market report. It just shows us how the US economy is doing. The data is going to be out in 4 hours and 21 minutes at 1:30 p.m. GMT, sorry, BST, so 1:30 London time. And what's gonna be interesting here is to take a look at the average hourly earnings. So last reading was a solid 2.6, which is a very strong reading, because right now people are seeing salary increases in the US. Not a lot, but 2.7 is still good for the average in the country. So if it prints 2.8, 2.7, maybe even 2.9, that should cause the dollar to gain. People will also look at the headline number, which is non-farm payrolls. Last number, according to this table here, was 313,000. This, if we print 225, something like that, that's fine. That's good. But really, what you want to pay attention to is average hourly earnings. You want to look at this and this and sort of see how things, how if we combine them. And this, I would put much more weight on average hourly earnings than the headline figure. And if the numbers are good, then most likely the euro dollar is going to try to trade lower. Maybe trade down to 121.78, maybe all the way down to 121.55. So it's going to try to challenge the low. But technically, I don't think we will trade below that low. I don't think the non-farm payrolls itself is important enough, but you never know. The market could slip to the downside. I think at the end of the day, when things have settled, when we're looking at this chart by Monday or Tuesday, we're still gonna be in this range. I don't have a good strategy here for you. The only sort of viable strategy is to maybe buy on dips, just because the market tends to bounce from these levels, a little bit like gold. But I wouldn't get involved here. I would just wait. There are better markets that we can trade for the non-farm payrolls, and we will host the non-farm payrolls live coverage in this channel here on this page. We're gonna start at 1:15 London time, so 15 minutes before the event. Then we'll take a look more at the different setups. But here, technically, again, if you're trading on the dailies, long-term bullish above this level, so the market could potentially bottom out here, but it's gonna be random. I don't know how things are gonna play out today, and because of that, I don't think it's wise to hold a position in that sideways market. Here's Bitcoin. My idea a few days ago was to sell up here following a 50% correction. The market did only go up to the first fib, and then it moved to the downside. I think obviously it's a bearish market, right? So if we take out the low, the market can continue, maybe try to challenge the February low. You just need to pay attention that this market is quite oversold and it could be a false move. So my preference is really for this market to, trade sideways, and then maybe next week, after we have created another low here, if we break the downside at that point, I will be bearish. At the same time, if we spend a lot of time here, then eventually, we could potentially buy on the break here. But we're not there just yet, okay? So I am looking at Bitcoin, and I think if we break the low, we can go to the downside. The alternative, we swing all the way up and try to sell. Here's crude oil. A few days ago, we said that traders are probably gonna look to buy at 62.70, and the reason for this, you can see it better on a daily, is because the overall market is bullish, right? Price creating higher and higher and higher and higher lows, and the market bottomed out from the area we discussed, and now it's gonna go down and test. But as you can clearly see on the daily, you have a major low at 59.99. So there's no real reason to change the bias. The market's gonna try most likely to bottom out here and then head to the upside. Here's gold. This looks a bit like the euro. Here you have more of a solid low. You have one low here, another one here, a third one here, and you have some support here as well. So 4 times did we actually move off from these levels. And I think what is interesting here is that it is possible to buy the dip, without a doubt. I prefer this buying dip here rather than buying dip in the euro, just because it's such a it's such a support that everybody can understand and read that this is obviously a low, and take this out, then this market could tumble, especially if the non-farm payrolls are good. But if the non-farm payrolls are less good, or not good enough really for the market to care, then I suspect the market is gonna bounce. So this is something interesting. Is it sort of the best setups? No. The better setups is just to actually focus on something that is trending. This is actually just trading sideways. And here's the DAX. So the DAX moved all the way up, and technically it's fine to be bearish below 12,375. Why? Because this high is capping price, and the market could head to the downside. But we saw quite a strong move yesterday. The market was lower 2 days ago, and then moved all the way up, and then yesterday we had a continuation. So it's not necessarily like a done deal here that we have bottomed out, but because technically the trend is bearish and the market could easily go to the downside. But if you check out the technical analysis section of this website, we did have some interesting sort of changes in the market. Here's the dollar yen. You can see how the market was trading to the downside, and then the price stopped creating lower highs. Instead, we took out this high and this high. Things turned bullish, and then you have other things as well. The Dow that I discussed a few days ago as well looks to have ended this downtrend. Here's the Dow. The price trending lower and lower and lower highs, and then you had this trend defining level which I highlighted already a few days ago. This was published on April 3rd. I said if we take this out, then that could be the beginning of the end. So we're starting to see some bottoming out process in the dollar yen as well in the Dow. So sign maybe that we have seen the worst. However, so Donald Trump yesterday, in retaliation of China's latest move, which is obviously the US is moving ahead here, right? They introduced the steel and aluminium tariffs on imports. Then the Chinese retaliated, and then the US introduced something else just against China, and after that the Chinese retaliated to the situation with the steel and aluminium tariffs. And now, because of the retaliation from China, which amounted $50 billion, the U.S. says, all right, let's see if we can find another $100 billion to limit imports. So this is, of course, something that is unpredictable. We don't know what's going to happen exactly, but we're starting to see some sort of a pattern in the way Donald Trump works, and that is that he's extremely aggressive uh, in what he's saying, and he has no issues moving ahead and doing things, but the end purpose here, as his advisories are looking for, is to negotiate. So the tough talk big numbers, and then the idea is that eventually, they come to together and discuss and try to negotiate a good deal, because that's what we saw with the tariffs, steel and aluminum tariffs. Like, they were blocking big countries: Canada, Mexico, South Korea, Brazil. Like, those are sort of the top countries that export, or that the US imports steel and aluminum from. But they were literally, after a few weeks, they negotiated a deal. So literally all these top countries, I think more than 50, if not 60% of all the imports, if not more, comes from these countries. But they all did deals with them. So at the end, there is no steel and aluminum imports. There's still some of them, I think, against China and Japan, and maybe some other country, but they just amount to 15-20% of all the imports anyway. So it's not something big. So again, I don't know exactly how things are gonna play out, but we need to be wary, and you need to stick to the technical levels, and then we'll see for how far that goes. If one is trading the DAX, or if one is trading the Dow, or say the dollar yen. In the case of the euro dollar and other markets like this, they're not necessarily influenced so much right now. And Bitcoin, of course, is in its own little world. It's just trading to the downside, right? So I don't think anything that's happening in the world that would affect the traditional markets can affect Bitcoin in a major way. Okay, that's it. We concluded today's market update. I want to thank you so much for watching. Check out the Trade Captain Economic Calendar. And again, you're most welcome to join me here. We're going to have that non-farm payrolls update later on today. And hello, Pamela. Thank you so much for joining the chat. Thank you so much. Happy Friday to you as well. I hope you're doing well. I can definitely tell you I'm doing better today. Not just because it's weekend, but good night's sleep is always great. Okay, guys, have a good day and a good weekend. I'll see you guys later on today. If not, I'll see you guys at 9 a.m. London time on Monday. Thank you.